Welcome to the War and Son shop. What we've got in front of us is an important piece of history as we're used to handling, but this is an important piece of art history, which, let's face it, we're not. Now, what the art form is Scrimshaw. So it's a form of engraving and etching into livestock bone in this case. And then it's filled in with this wonderful charcoal effect or black ink, which produces what you can see in front of you. So you've got this wonderful tactile object, which is a case. So you wonder what's on the case and what was in the case. And it really does transport you back into history, this. It gives away an incredible secret. So what we've got on the lid is some wonderful depictions of Royal Artillerymen, horses and cannons, and really intricate picture. That's a wonderful piece of art. But it's here, the details give away the secret. You've got a name and an initial, the name of Clark. Now the initial I as a Roman numeral would actually stand for a J, but I wasn't to know that to start with. Now the date's significant, which I'll come back to, of 1813. And 3, what we thought were battle honours, we're used to seeing, Peninsula of Salamanca, Badajoz and Talavera. Famous battles for the British redcoats of Wellington against the French before Waterloo. Now who is Clark? So Dad asked me, find an officer, because we think that this will be an officer's field sketch case of some sort. You can see traces of crayon on the interior. Now I did. I tried to find, by putting in the 3 battles into the rolls, a Clark. Now there is no I Clark and there is no J Clark at all that exists. There's not even a private. There's no officers certainly. There's a Patrick Clark of the 86th Foot, and it's just not his. So we initially thought, our eyes deceiving us. What does this mean? Now it was me that really got lucky, and it's lucky through stupidity in putting in an I Clark just into general search engines with the battles. I found this, which pops up immediately, a depiction of the Battle of Vittoria of 1813, and it says etched by I Clark. The I turns to a J, which is here, and that's for our work. We've got Salamanca, so straight away there's a tick box for this. Now here, the I Clark again becomes possibly the engraver John Heaviside Clark. And this is all that he, again as I Clark, as active artist, all of his battles that he covered and his depictions of these famous battles. And you've got there Picton's storming of Badajoz as well included, and other 1813 battles. So straight away, the John Heaviside Clark, you've got, thankfully, a wiki page which is dubbing him as Waterloo Clark. So his real famous depictions are after the battle at Waterloo, and he actually gets the moniker Waterloo Clark from there. And this is it, amongst others, with Walter Scott's poem. I believe the National Army Museum have a number of his works of art. And even at the Waterloo Bicentennial exhibition in 2015, the very first work is the field battle Waterloo as it appeared on the field of Waterloo, in the list of artists, Walter Scott as the poet and John Heaviside Clark as the central artist. So you've got a very skilled engraver here. Here's his depiction of Blucher and Wellington after the battle as well. His works appear in the Victorian Albert. They're also, the government own many of them as well. There's an example that's gone through Christie's just as a landscape, because he's a landscape artist. So the art form itself is incredible. So there's a naval history attached to this. But what I really like is the Waterloo aspect. So you've got traces of red crayon. This would be a French method, a French technique known as trois crayons, which would be red, black and white used in here as initial battle sketches. Now that red there, you can just see powdering there. That's going to be used for Wellington's redcoats. This would have been held over the scenes at those famous battles. This would have likely been in his hand over the turf of Waterloo, with all that groaning that's going on and the terrible scenes of destruction and devastation and suffering. It's really resonant historically, but it's also resonant in terms of an art form. So what it reinforms here in the art form itself, and this is the kicker, is that it's the earliest form of Scrimshaw that's dated. There is no earlier date. If you put into Google earliest Scrimshaw, everywhere it will cover you with 1817. This rewrites that history. Everywhere says whale ship Adam of London, dated 1817, the earliest dated form of scrimshaw until now. It's 1813. It's done by a British Academy artist. It's done by a skilled engraver. So this does rewrite that art form. And just as an aside, the last thing to say is the spelling of Badajoz, which looks kind of phonetic, doesn't it? Or perhaps uneducated. It's not. We looked into this as well. And Badajoz is really from Napier's report, where the French guards of the siege behind their gates were saying "Sentinelle garde-à-vous," half hourly, and that was mistranslated by British soldiers as "all's well in Badajoz," or Badajoz. So that explains that as well. But what a wonderful item. We're honoured that this came in the shop. We're lucky that we researched it and found this about it. It's an important piece that's come in, so there it is.